Look, here is the absolute deal. The game is rigged, and your parents' financial advice is officially dead. If you are sitting there at 11 p.m. scrolling through your phone, feeling that heavy pit in your stomach because you checked your bank account, I get it. You are doing everything right. You got the degree, you got the job, you cut back on the lattes, but somehow you are still running on a corporate hamster wheel that moves faster than your paycheck can keep up. Inflation is eating your savings like a pack of starving wolves. Rent is absolute insanity, and the thought of buying a house feels like a sick joke invented by billionaires. Oh shit. I remember that exact feeling a few years ago. I was sitting in a crowded apartment staring at a total net worth of $0. Actually, it was worse than zero because I had consumer debt breathing down my neck. I was terrified. I was desperate. And because I was desperate, I made the classic, stupid mistakes that almost every single young investor makes when they first try to break out of the matrix. I didn't want to get rich slow. I wanted to get rich by next Tuesday. So I jumped headfirst into option trading and penny stocks. I was staying up until 4 a.m. tracking random hype channels, convincing myself I was some kind of trading prodigy. Then reality hit me like a freight train. I remember the exact morning I woke up, looked at my portfolio, and realized I had wiped out $4,000 of my hard-earned cash in less than 48 hours on a trash stock that went to zero. That was months of living on instant noodles and skipping nights out with my friends just completely evaporated because I chased a shortcut. I felt sick to my stomach. I felt like a complete failure. But that brutal slap in the face was exactly what I needed to finally wake up. I realized that Wall Street wants you to treat investing like a casino because the house always wins when you trade fast. They want you confused, they want you hyperventilating over every single green and red candle on a chart. So I threw the technical analysis garbage in the trash and started rebuilding from absolute scratch. And fast forward to today, right here in 2026, my portfolio just crossed over $120,000. Now, look, I am not saying this to brag. I am absolutely not some high and mighty financial guru with a luxury sports car and a private island. I am your wealth running mate, just a regular guy who was sick of being broke, put his head down, built a system that actually works, and stayed disciplined. And tonight, I am going to give you the exact framework that took me from zero to $120,000 without any of the corporate jargon or academic bullshit. First, we need to talk about the psychological foundation, because if your mind is weak, your portfolio will always be zero. The absolute best investment strategy on earth is completely useless if you panic and sell everything the moment the market drops 5%. You have to learn the art of living below your means, and no, that does not mean you have to suffer forever. It just means you need to create a massive gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is your fuel. That gap is your ammunition. If you take every single pay raise and immediately upgrade your apartment, buy a flashy car on a high-interest loan, and start eating at expensive restaurants every weekend, you are trapped. You are just a golden hamster on a slightly nicer wheel. You have to accept the reality that building true wealth requires a period of radical lifestyle minimalism. When my income started growing, I kept my expenses completely flat. I lived in the same crappy apartment, I drove the same dented car, I poured every single extra dollar directly into income, generating assets. My friends thought I was being cheap, but I wasn't being cheap, I was buying my future freedom. Now let us get into the hard numbers and the actual strategy, because you need a concrete plan for that capital. When you are starting with zero, you do not need to find the next hidden microcap stock that might go up 1,000% or might crash to zero. You need predictability. You need the power of compounding returns working for you while you sleep. My core strategy, the one that did the absolute heavy lifting for my journey to $120,000, is built on a dead simple three-part portfolio. It is 70% VU, 20% SAG, and 10% VUG. Let us break down exactly why this mix is an absolute powerhouse for young investors. VO is the Vanguard SP 500 ETF. When you buy one single share of VO, you are instantly buying a piece of the 500 largest, most profitable companies in the United States. You are owning Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, and Alphabet all at the same time. Think about the absolute genius of this. Instead of trying to guess which individual company will win the future, you are just betting on the entire American economy. And history shows us that over any long-term period, the American economy wins. In 2025, the SP 500 delivered a massive total return of nearly 18%. If you just parked your cash there and went to the beach, you beat almost every single professional hedge fund manager on Wall Street who charges ridiculous fees just to underperform. The remaining 20% goes into SAGD, which is the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. This is my secret weapon for building an automated cash flow machine. SAG focuses on hot, quality companies that have a long history of consistently paying and growing their dividends. We are talking about rock-solid businesses like Texas Roadhouse, Home Depot, and AbbVie. Every single quarter, these companies send cash directly into your investment account, regardless of whether the stock market is going up or down. And here is the magic trick that creates true wealth. Dividend growth, when you turn on the dividend reinvestment plan, which automatically uses that cash to buy even more fractions of shares, your share count starts growing completely on autopilot. More shares mean more dividends next quarter, which buys even more shares. It is a snowball rolling down a massive hill, and once it gets big enough, nobody can stop it. The final 10% goes into VUG, which is the Vanguard Growth ETF. This is where we add a little bit of high-octane fuel to the fire. VUG is packed with aggressive growth companies, mostly in the technology and innovation sectors, that are reinvesting all their earnings back into their business to scale at warp speed because we are young. We have time on our side. We can handle the volatility of growth stocks because we do not need to cash out our portfolio tomorrow. This 10% gives us that extra upside potential to crush the market average during major tech rallies. Look at this entire setup as a whole. It is clean, it is low cost, and it requires absolutely zero effort to maintain. You do not need to spend hours staring at financial reports or listening to quarterly earnings calls. You just set up an automatic transfer from your checking account every single time you get paid, buy your shares, and get back to living your life. This is what we call dollar cost averaging. When the market goes up, your portfolio value hits new highs and you feel great. When the market crashes, you actually smile because your automatic transfer is now buying those exact same high-quality companies at a massive discount. You win either way. The only way you lose is if you lose your cool and stop consistency. The market is a machine designed to transfer money from the impatient to the patient, if you can just commit to this boring automated process for 5 to 10 years. You will look back and realize it was the most lucrative decision you ever made. But let us be real for a second, because the road from $0 to $120,000 is not a smooth, beautiful line. There will be days when the news headlines look like an absolute horror movie. The media makes their money by keeping you terrified. They will tell you a recession is coming, a housing crash is imminent, a war is breaking out, or inflation is going to destroy humanity. And when those headlines hit, the retail herd panics. They sell everything at the absolute bottom because they cannot take the emotional pain of seeing their portfolio in the red. That is exactly when you need to activate the Warren Buffett mindset. Be greedy when others are fearful. Ray Dalio talks about this extensively in his economic frameworks. Markets move in cycles, debt expands, debt contracts, bubbles inflate, and bubbles burst. If you understand that volatility is just the price of admission for superior long-term returns, you stop fearing the crashes. You start welcoming them. A market crash is just a giant clearance sale on the best businesses in the world. Imagine walking into your favorite clothing store and seeing everything marked down by 40%. You wouldn't run out of the store screaming in fear, right? You would grab a shopping cart and buy everything you could carry. But for some bizarre reason, when the stock market goes on sale, people run for the hills. Do not be like the average retail investor. Stay calm, keep your head down, trust the numbers. The math behind long-term indexing and dividend growth is absolute fact. It is not an opinion. It has worked for over a century. And it is working right now in 2026. Building wealth is not about having a brilliant IQ or some secret insider connection. It is about emotional control. It is about resisting the urge to buy the latest meme coin or luxury item just to impress people you do not even like on social media. It is about being comfortable with getting rich slowly and quietly. You are the one who has to live your life. You are the one who has to face that bank account at night. So make the choice right now to stop playing their game and start playing your own. If you got value from this conversation tonight, do me a massive favor and hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below and let me know where you are currently at on your wealth journey. Whether you have $50 or $50,000, we are all in this trenches together. We are the ones building our own safety nets. Check the links in the description for some tools I personally use to track my portfolio and keep my life automated. Stay disciplined, stay clear, and keep compounding. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, you guys. Now, go play.